Howdy, guys. Attorney Walter, not the third. What we're going to be doing today is the usual. We're going to be answering questions that people might have relevant to their Social Security disability claims. As you know, I go ahead and answer many questions relevant to the topic of Social Security disability. Right behind me here, we have Disability Resolution PA. Disability Resolution PA is a law firm that I've worked at for a total of 7 years. I've been 15 years in the industry. And then right above it is my new corporation, spaceconstitution.com. SpaceConstitution.com, the whole point of it is we are creating the first open source Constitution. Anybody can write in whatever free rights, whatever free freedoms that they would like, and basically we can go ahead and incorporate it into a potential future space nation, space station nation, or perhaps changing the nations we're in. Anyway, howdy, Derek Atkins. How you doing? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and begin the process of getting things ready to roll so that we can start calling people and start working through their questions. Couple of details real quick. Disability Resolution PA is a law firm I work for. Constitutional Law is the company I'm just recently starting. If you do get a chance and you are into freedoms and rights of people, go check out constitution.com, or rather spaceconstitution.com. Also, if you are looking for custom masks, things that you can wear, things like that, protective masks, there's a great company out there that I usually buy mine from. It is Second Wave Masks. We are sponsored by them. They're really great and they're really incredible. So there's all the introductions. Now let's get right to the bottom of it. Today I'm going to be calling and receiving calls from a couple of people, going through some basic details, and then we're going to basically go from there. To kick us off, I have a person who called in right before I basically was going to go live, so we're going to check in with her and see how she's doing. So if somebody would be kind enough to throw the phone number up there, actually here, I can go ahead and do it before I call the person. This is in the future the phone number that you'll be calling in to go ahead and get a hold of me. So let's check this out real quick. Here we go. Okay, we just missed a phone call here. Let me see if I can get her on the line, and then we'll keep things rolling. Howdy, guys. How you doing? Okay, let's see if we can get this person on the line, then we can get things rolling. Hi, ma'am. This is Attorney Walter Knott. Every Thursday night, I go live on YouTube, which I am right now. Would you like me to answer your question live so that I can help other people? The only kicker is you have to use a fake name through the process. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put you on speakerphone. Remember to use a fake name. Okay, ma'am. Go ahead. Walk me through. What is your question?
Okay. I had an unsuccessful work attempt, but I want to make sure that the judge sees it that way. I did in-home health support services for just under 6 months before I had a relapse and another nervous breakdown, and I had to go back into the hospital.
Okay.
I had worked for other providers for the state of California, but they didn't last because I was too nervous with the people. Okay. But that was before.
Okay.
So I for the other employers I didn't last 6 months. But with one I lasted almost 6 months. Mm-hmm. And the whole time I was doing this for the state of California, it was like 10 months in total, but the earnings were very low most of the months. It was just 6 months of this year, or almost 6 months, that I did okay.
All right. Now, I just want to give you a heads up. Different judges view, failed work attempts as different levels. So what they usually look at are two particular things. Number one, well, it's actually three things. Number one, how much did you earn in total? And how much did you earn split up? Number two, how long did you work there? And then number three, did you achieve any special licenses, permits, titles? Were you a manager or supervisor? Were you doing well at it? Walk me through, what was the longest job you had? Did you get any special titles? And the final question is, financially, what are we looking at?
No, I was just a home care worker. I watched movies with someone who was bedridden, and it didn't quite last 6 months, and I earned about $12,000.
Okay. So normally when judges look at that, now keep in mind This whole failed work attempt thing is based on what's called specific vocational preparations, what are called SVP numbers. And SVP numbers define how long it takes to learn how to do that job. So, the foundation of this whole system is, okay, you were like a caretaker, right? You're basically somebody that just hung out. Okay, so if we go to the DOT, which is the Dictionary of Occupational Titles, I'll bring it up right now, of occupational titles. So we're going to go ahead and put in there caretaker, right? So when we look at this, okay, let's see. Okay, So performs any combination of the following duties in keeping private home clean and in good condition. I think you were more of a caretaker of other people, right?
Right. I just watched movies with him. He had another caretaker too. And I just kept him company during the day.
Okay, so let's see. Let me see if I can find this. I think you'd be more under what's called a home attendant. For those of you guys out there that are following along, that's code number 354.377-014 in the DOT. That's where somebody cares for the elderly, handicapped persons in patient's home, perform any combination of the following tasks: changing bed linens, washes, irons patient's laundry, and cleans patient's quarters. Okay, so you were basically hanging out with the claimant. Now, what this has is an SVP of 3. Now, do you know what an SVP of 3 means?
No.
Okay. So basically, specific vocational preparations, very simply put, are how long it takes to go ahead and learn a job. Okay. So, an SVP of 1 is a short demonstration. SVP of 2 is anything beyond a short demonstration up to 30 days. An SVP of 3 is over 1 month and including up to 3 months. So basically, this is an SVP of 3, and you were working there for twice the length of the SVP, meaning that you were working there for essentially, basically twice as long as it would take to learn it at the maximum length of time it would take to learn it. So first off, right off the bat, the main function before we get to kind of the little caveats of what judges consider is that, oh, T. Ludo, thank you so much. T. Ludo, you are awesome. She just donated money. That's so amazing. That's good. This is very good. So basically, T. Ludo, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. That's some doggy treats right there. And it sounds like somebody on the phone has a doggy too. What kind of dog do you have?
A miniature pinscher.
Adorable. I don't have my dogs with me. Shadow's running around somewhere. I had to put Sweetie in the other room because she's almost 70 pounds and still a puppy, which means she's basically able to destroy entire planets on her own. So, yeah.
Of course.
Indeed. All right. So what you need to know is this. For that 6-month one, the judge is going to look at that and say, first and foremost, it's not a failed work attempt because you were doing it for 6 months and it only takes up to 3 months to be able to do it, which means that it wasn't like it wasn't like you just reached 3 months. It was one of those gigs where basically, you were able to be in it for an extended period. Well, you tell me now, why were you able to make it 6 months? And when did it start? Because look, this sounds like a mental-based claim situation, right? These are mental. Yeah. Okay. So I'm guessing you started to have a downward slope at some point through this. And did you get fired? Did you quit? What happened?
I had to quit because the patient he was getting scammed by women online, and I told him it was just too stressful hearing about all of it, and I had to check into the mental hospital again.
So you got stressed because he kept getting scammed by women online. Okay, yeah. So you checked in, and then what happened? Did they fire you, or?
No, they didn't fire me. I just stopped working there.
Okay, so you quit.
But I got a letter from them. A declaration. I think the 599 form.
Yeah.
I forgot what number, stating that I wasn't fit to work because I was just too nervous.
Okay. So did the guy make a complaint? Was it one of those things where you just couldn't?
No, he didn't.
Okay, so this was your choice. You quit under your choice, right?
Yes, but I was hospitalized.
Okay, and then they sent you a letter thereafter saying, "Hey, look, you're too jittery for this job. No go."
Right.
Okay, so that's good. You have evidence that's excellent. You got hospital treatment. You've got a letter from the employer saying you're not fit for this job. You might be able to squeak by with nudging the judge to believe this is a failed work attempt. So are you going to a hearing, or what's the deal?
I have my hearing in February.
Okay. So that's not right around the corner, which means you have to, now, do you have an attorney? Do you have a non-legal rep?
I have an attorney.
Good.
I have an attorney.
Okay.
And she called me today panicking, saying that she found out I might have earned too much, and this might be considered a successful work attempt. So I got really nervous again, and I thought I would call you because I've seen you on YouTube.
Yeah, so I'll kind of walk you through what you need to do. First and foremost, you're going to need two things. Thing number one is an SSA 795. So write that down, SSA 795.
Okay.
And then thing number two you're going to need is a brief from the attorney. The attorney's brief is going to basically cite to your 795. All right, so here's what you're going to do, and we'll do it in levels. But the basic thing is you're going to put down on the 795 that you started to work at the job and that after a short period you were having difficulty. But we lost the phone call. Hold on, guys. We'll call her back. Hold on, guys. We'll get her. Howdy. Okay, cool. So I'm going to put you back on speakerphone. Okay, so on the 795, what you're going to put down is that you had the job for 6 months, but a few months in, you were unable to do the functions of the job as they were to be performed. You were unable to do the functions of the job as they were to be performed because you were having... and this is where you come into so what are your mental impairments? I'm guessing anxiety, depression, panic attacks, things like that.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
All right, so you're going to put in there the specific mental conditions that you have. And then you're going to put in, you stayed in the job because I'm guessing you needed funds, right? Are you married to a super wealthy person? I did. Okay, so you... No. Okay, so you stayed in the job where you were only required to. You stayed in the job where you were only required to, and here's where you're going to write out, basically, essentially, you were only able to watch TV with the person. You didn't have to do laundry. You didn't have to clean the house. You didn't have to even interact with him much.
I had to do 2 loads of laundry a week.
Okay. Were you still doing that throughout the entire thing?
No.
And when did you stop doing the 2 loads of laundry?
Like after 3 months.
Okay. So that's kind of what we're shooting for here. You were doing the job for 3 months. It was going well. But then after 3 months, everything fell apart. You were able to stay on it but not perform all the duties until you had to be hospitalized, in which they sent you a letter, in which case they were terminating their relationship with you.
Okay.
Which is being fired. I mean, they told you in a letter you can't do this job anymore, right?
Right.
Yeah, so you got fired, so that's good. So you're going to put in there that after 3 months, and now you're going to put in there all the things that you could no longer do, having to do the laundry, having to, pick up food for him, having to make dinner for him, yada, yada, yada. Okay?
Okay.
And then what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and put in the date that you had the mental breakdown, the hospital you went to, how many days you were in the hospital, and a notation about the letter they sent you about how they were firing you, basically.
Okay.
Now, you need to go back to that company and see if you can get a letter from them further explaining why you had difficulty doing that job and that you did not have any accommodations while you were working there. Or if you did have accommodations while working there, having them outline when they went into place. Like, 1 month in, you got this. 3 months in, you got that.
Okay.
All right. Now, your attorney...
I have to go now because I'm out and about.
Oh.
If you can say more on it, but I have to hang up now.
Oh, sure. Okay. Well, have a wonderful day, madame, and all the best.
Okay. Thank you so much. God bless.
You as well. Bye-bye. Okay. So with those situations, they're tough because an individual has to prove that they were actually working realistically at the job for a shorter period of time, even though they were working on the books for a longer period of time, which is, you have to kind of go through the process. Getting letters from the prior employer to show where it all fell apart, or at least the beginning process of it falling apart, usually helps with that stuff. With that said, ... you got to keep in mind that ultimately it's up to the judge as to whether or not the judge wants to deem it a failed work attempt. I've had judges deem 2 months worth of work not a failed work attempt. I've had judges deem 8 months worth of work basically a failed work attempt. So it comes down to the judge. There is strong statutory language on what a failed work attempt is. Very few of them actually follow that. All right, so let's take a look at some of these questions over here and see what we're looking at. Okay, again, T. Ludo, thank you so much for the donation. That is amazing because that gives me money to get treats for the doggies. Okay, so Derek Atkins. I am at the final stage of appeal. I get hit by a car 2 days ago. Should I add that, doing it for my back? So Derek, are you at like appeals council? Are you at the Supreme Court of the United States? Because there's 2 dockets that we're talking about here. There's the SSA docket, initial filing reconsideration, ALJ appeals council, and then there's the federal docket above that docket, which is the District Circuit and Supreme Court of the United States. So that's like the federal land. So bottom line is that no matter what, you should submit that documentation. And if they feel that actually got you to that point of true severity that they're looking for, you may have to change your alleged onset date as to when that car accident actually occurred. Okay, let's see. A redo of previous surgery or something new. Okay, good. Just reading through the questions. And the lumbar on my neck. Okay, gotcha. Okay, gotcha. Some boat here. Diabetes really affects the healing time. I need a new spine. Okay, gotcha. So, okay, good. Eddie Mercado, thanks for all your vids. Any idea on this in this COVID era how long the ALJ decision is taking? Had my hearing September 9th by phone. Yeah, so basically, all right. If you get an OTR, an on the record, if you get a from the bench decision, right? They make a decision during the hearing that they're going to find you, favorable or whatever. Then it takes about a month and a half to potentially or a month and a half to 2 months. However, if you have a traditional ALJ hearing, then you're looking at about 3 to 4 months for a decision. So, Eddie, what you're looking at is, take September, and you said, what was it, September 9th? So you're looking at, September, October, November, December 9th would be the absolute earliest you'd potentially hear back on it. And then basically, January 9th is more realistically around when you'd actually hear back on that hearing decision. However, with COVID, these judges are staying home, and so they're basically processing things a bit faster. So that's good, yada, yada, yada. All right, let's check out the next one. I would love to call in and thank you guys for all your help. Okay, good. So yeah, Eddie, if you have any additional questions, I'm just going to be on here tonight through the phone calls. There's the phone number if you want to call in. I can always go ahead and walk you through any questions you have. T. Ludo, I tried to get a letter from my last job as well as fellow nurses that worked with me, and all I got was I can't because it will jeopardize their nursing license. Okay, so T. Ludo, this is not uncommon at all. This is not like an uncommon thing when people are professionals and like, oh my goodness, what can I say, yada, yada. Housewise TV, awesome. Thank you. That's awesome. That's really, 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 really nice of you. Thank you. Seriously, these dogs are going to be even chubbier now with all these amazing treats. This is amazing. So, T. Ludo, the way you do it is you go ahead and have them write a letter. And what they do with the letter is they go ahead and basically don't put their name on it. They put their date, they write up the letter, and then what you do is at the hearing, since you're not physically in person with them, you can go ahead and give the name to the judge. However, the judge will have, you'll notify the judge that he cannot use this name on the record, that he cannot disclose this name on the record. And then what you can do is you can have that letter from that person, and that judge can go ahead and call that person to check that information and speak with them, but their name will have to be restricted from the record. So that's one way to do it if they're willing to do it. But a lot of people, if you let them know, hey, look, the only person who's going to know this is the judge, to maybe cross-check with you It will not be entered into my record with a name. Usually they're cool with that. Usually they've got a good idea at that point. So yeah, super appreciate it. That's awesome. Okay, so another thing you can do too is you can always send in the letter with the information and the name, and then put on there not to be disclosed. And you put what you do is you put on for the judge's eyes only, and then you put the judge, and then you put the address that's going to be sent to. Or you can put that at the top of the sheet if your attorney is going to submit it to the ERE e-folder online. Okay, good. So once again, guys, I'm going to do this thing tonight. I have a ton of stuff to do. I have to get through 2 briefs, and Sarah Bohr just came out with a new book, and I wanted to read that and see what's up at some of the new law. But anyways, guys, absolutely. If you guys have anybody that wants to call in, I'm going to pop the phone number up there one more time. And otherwise, I'm going to talk about disability stuff so you can kind of learn about what happens, going forward with things. So if no phone calls are coming in, I'll kind of walk you through what are some of the changes going on with the Social Security Administration. Okay, so a lot of people are asking, when are we going to go back to regular hearings? When are we going to go back to in-person hearings? They have not released a decision. They have not released information pertaining to that. But I can tell you this, obviously Florida is still back open. The numbers are rising, yada, yada, yada. The SSA is probably going to be one of the last groups for the disability hearings to open up. Once again, it's going to be one of the last groups. So we're looking at maybe another year, maybe another 2 years. And the reason why is nobody right now is really fighting to have in-person hearings. A. B. So there's no intent there to really push these things to open. B, these judges are basically enjoying their time at home, and essentially they're processing at a pretty high level. They're getting a lot done. So people are happy. The administrative people are happy that the judges are doing what they need to do. They're pushing claims through. The other thing is that a lot of these judges are in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and some of them 90s. There's one judge that's younger. She's in her 40s. But basically, for the most part, all of these judges are 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, which they're all part of that group of individuals who have a higher likelihood of getting sick and dying. So with that said, putting a lot of disabled, sick, a low ability to go ahead and fight off viruses and bacteria and funguses and things, putting those people in a chair directly in front of a judge, and then having the judges all touch their own keyboards and touch different keyboards and yada, 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 is likely going to render a sick judge. Now, here's the problem. A lot of people think that they have lots and lots and lots of judges to do this stuff. And the reality of it is this. They don't. It's not even close. They've just lost some Orlando hearing judges that have to go and work in another office. They're swapping around. Some judges leave, some judges go. Most judges want to flock to Florida. A lot of people don't realize that, but most judges want to flock to Florida. So getting a judgeship in Florida is extremely difficult, especially for these disability judges. And that's why a lot of the judges down here have been on the docket for an extended period of time. Now, with that said, if you take another state that most people don't want to be in, like a North Dakota or one of those types of deals, it's usually younger judges or the ones that have been on there forever. And, they have a harder time getting people to go ahead and transfer to North Dakota or just be judges in North Dakota. So basically, the bottom line is these judges, I'll make it very simple, are very likely to get sick and very likely to have a problem. If they lose one for 2 weeks because they got sick, if they lose one for 1 month because they got sick, or God forbid one of them passed away, it would be cataclysmic to the system because there's just not enough administrative law judges. And the problem is they have a hard time getting the attorneys to sign up to want to be a judge. So a lot of the internal writers of the judges, being the people that the judge goes, okay, I like this claim, write a positive, fully favorable. I don't like this claim, write an unfavorable. The attorney that works for the judge at the SSA, the writer, that writer is usually converted over into administrative law judge when they're low on administrative law judges. All right, Michael Sandoval, is it better to have a hearing in the early morning rather than like 2 p.m. or past? All right, let me tell you the secret of how the whole hearing schedule thing works. You want to have a disability hearing, basically, and you got to know your judge too, because some judges are different. But here's like the general, and then I'll give you kind of the which way it goes, yada, yada. If you have a judge early in the morning, their brain is usually by mid first hearing. So you're going through the first hearing, midway through the first hearing, their brain is firing, right? They're thinking, they're excited, they're directly, into it. They know what's going on, they're ready to go. That means if you have a technical claim, meaning a claim that is strong for technical reasons, that's where you want to be. If you have a good claim because of emotional reasons, you tell a story about, how you watched your husband murder your dog, you tell a story about how you lost all these things that were important to you, and it's a mental claim, at that point, you usually want to be somewhere after lunch. Keep in mind this too. Most of these judges go out for lunch. They don't have a little baggie that they bring because, these judges make okay money. So they go out to lunch. So what that means is that when you're thinking, hey, I'm going to go, I'm going to be right on time. So here's how it works. In the very beginning, the judge is right on time and they expect you to be there and on time. But as you slowly get through the day, the judge gets a little bit later and a little bit more behind, a little bit more behind, a little bit more behind. So like T. Ludo, your hearing will be either the second one of the day or the third one of the day, unless the judge starts super duper duper early. So there's usually an 8 o'clock one, a 9 o'clock one, and a 10 o'clock one. Or some of the judges, if I ever became a judge, would start one at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, yada yada. Okay. Or realistically, I would start my hearings at 10 and then end somewhere at wherever. But the bottom line is this. You get later and later and later. So if you're expecting a claim at 9:15 a.m., then expect to go ahead and start at 9:15 a.m. or more likely around 9:25 a.m. Okay. Now, if you're after lunch, okay, you're looking at, so you got a claim at 1:30, you're going to start around 2 to 2:15. If you got a claim that's supposed to be around 2:30, my 2:30 today was super late. We started around 3:45. It's not usually that bad, but you usually be about 3:15 p.m. That's where they're starting because the claims, they take time. And some of the judges schedule enough time between them that's only 30 minutes long. Some of them schedule 45 minutes. That's the common thing. Most judges schedule hearings 45 minutes apart. And so basically, in the very beginning of the morning, the judges are hopped up. They've got energy. They're focusing. But after they've done 5 hearings, and they're at the end of the day, they've had their lunch, they're tired. I did one time meet a judge that did 12 hearings in one day, but that was to get all the hearings done in a single day for the entire week because they had a family thing. All right, so where do you want to be? If you've got a judge that likes to approve mental claims, then you want to be later in the day. If you've got a judge that likes to approve physical claims, you want to be earlier in the day. Some of the judges usually will stack the claims that they like, if they can, later in the day for approvals. Some of the judges will stack the claims they like in the morning just to get them done, be quick, and have more time for lunch. It's a bit of a game. The bottom line is that they know how to go ahead and structure their day the way they like it, and then they set up the claims as they come through to be like that. So, all right, now let's go into this next thing. If you have a claim right before lunch, keep in mind you might get pushed over to being after lunch. So let's say you got a claim at 12. Your claim is supposed to have a hearing from 12 to 1. The judge is supposed to go on lunch from 1 to 2. Well, if that judge comes up to your time and it's already 1 o'clock, that judge is going to lunch. So for an hour, you're going to be sitting there waiting for that judge to come back, and then you'll start your hearing at, you guessed it, 2 o'clock. All right, let's see. Yeah. So they didn't call you until 9:26. That's pretty standard. I mean, I used to get grumpy about it and be like, oh, the judge is wasting my time and blah blah blah. Now my life is having to do this law firm stuff. My life is having to do law. So it is what it is. I'm home most of the time when I have to do these hearings now. So it doesn't bother me. The judge was an hour and a half late to the hearing today, and it is what it is. I work on other stuff. I'm gonna be sitting at this desk either way, guys. All right, so let's see. Now I want to talk to you about another thing. Some claimants want to know, and this may be relevant to this whole situation. Is it better to have a hearing in the early morning okay? Some people want to know, is it better to have a claim around Monday, Wednesday, Friday, things like that? Okay. Judges are more concerned with time as they get closer to Friday. I'm going to say it again. Judges are more accustomed to pushing the claim along when we get closer to Friday. And Cheyenne, chime in here, because Cheyenne used to work literally in the same room with all these different judges as the stenographer, as the clerk for the audio recordings and the video and the typing and all that jazz. So the court reporter. So ask her, guys, because she was in there. I only get to see it and hear it or see what's said when I go into the room, or what I experience when I do the hearing. She got to actually hear what they were saying before and after and things like that. So she could probably give you some guidance as to specifically why they would want to do one thing in one way, one thing another way. So let's see. Actually, let's do that real quick, because I'm super tired. We're gonna bug the hell out of Cheyenne. Let's do that. Okay, so
hello.
Howdy. Okay, so I want to ask you your opinion, because you were in the rooms with the judges. I want to ask your opinion. Would it be better to have a hearing earlier in the day or later in the day? And would it be better to have a hearing earlier in the week or later in the week?
Oof. I'm not too sure about the week or the days of the week question. I'll have to think about that one. But as far as time, just like I said in the chat, I think that it kind of depends on the judge. Now, obviously, you guys as claimants are not going to know a lot of back history about your judges, right? So always, this kind of goes back to, you always want to have an attorney, right? Because these attorneys, that's part of their homework. They know these judges. They've had cases with them. They've researched them. They talk with other attorneys who have cases with them. So, these guys really kind of know what they're looking for and kind of their attitude towards, certain things for the hearings. So I would say that amongst all, I've worked with several different judges in different states by video, and then obviously all the ones in Orlando, Lake Mary, to just all over. And I would say that they're all different. So, some of them can be cranky in the morning, just like we're all humans. So things happen. And if we don't get our everything bagel,
so
and
important.
They gave us a cinnamon raisin one instead.
Totally unacceptable.
Pissed.
Totally
We're
unacceptable.
pissed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just come on, guys. I mean, if you give me decaf coffee and I ask for caffeinated, I mean, your hearing is just good as done. No, I'm kidding.
It's true. It's true. Look, if you don't stack that thing with happy sugar and gummy vitamins, they're not going to have the morning that you want them to have. That's the reality of it.
Right. But
yeah.
No, we do have judges who, they have children. There are some who have children. I
Good
know
point.
Walter said that the youngest is 40s. But we have a few that are in their 50s and things like that too. So, some of them have teenagers, okay, and or even younger than that. And so they're dealing with their own things, getting ready in the morning and then coming to work. So it kind of it depends. Me personally, for the judges that I worked with, I would say I would prefer to have a hearing in the morning, only because I know that Walter was like, oh, well, later in the day they might be, or mid-morning, they're on point and things like that, but they also could be still tired in the morning. But I think that also as the day goes on, a lot of these judges, guys, like that start at 8:30 in the morning. I'll just say we have judges that start at 8:30 in the morning. I've had a judge that starts at 8:15 in the morning.
Yep.
And he was from a different state. So he actually started at 7:15 in the morning, which is absurd.
Yeah.
We loved him with our whole heart and soul. But you're tired now. No, I'm kidding. So yeah, so we have judges that have at least 5 hearings. Okay, they at least have 5. And some do have rocket dockets. We don't have a lot in Orlando, but the most usually is 7 or 8 hearings. If you're in the afternoon and we've had 4 hearings before yours, and you have no idea what happened before you guys. You know, we could have had someone that needed an extra security guard, and it was a crap show, right? So, and then the judges kind of, you know, in their head about things and whatever. So, you know, these people are humans just as we are. So I preferably would want an early morning appointment. Although I do think that what Walter said is absolutely correct. It kind of depends on your case too. If you guys have a tough case and, you know, just like what he said, you know, I don't know. Do you guys even have choice over time?
No. Well, I mean, we do. They call the law firm and they'll say, okay, cool. You know, this is going to be the judge. These are the days that are available. And then we give them times. But actually, that's how it used to work. As of a year ago, we have to give them a, whatchamacallit, my shoe just got caught on the desk. We have to give them basically a list of days that we are not going to be available. And they pick from those days and also times that we're not going to be available as to when they're going to have the hearing. And then they put it up onto a general calendar inside the ERE system. And then that's how we log in and we see exactly when the hearings are going to be. It used to be that we used to work with the local field off or with the local's OHO, which is the hearing office, to pick exactly when we were going to be having those hearings. Now we don't get to do that. Now they just auto schedule them based on when we're available. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, I am not available at 8 a.m. in the morning. I'm not. It's not, none of this is working at that point. None of this.
Even at 10 a.m., guys.
Right. Yeah, guys. There's no hearings with Attorney Walter Knott before 10 a.m. There's just not. They don't exist. If you're wondering, like, why have I never had a 9 a.m. hearing with you? Because I'm not available. Okay, I have a dentist appointment or my hair has to get blow dried. I don't care. I'm just not available.
Guys, he's getting his everything bagel and caffeine.
That's right.
There.
That's right. There's gummy bears all over that sucker. Man, let me tell you, that cream cheese is full of sugar. So, yeah, you will never have a hearing with me. Yeah, that early.
Guys, no, honestly, Walter's amazing. He really is. He's had to work on his time skills.
Oh God. Oh my God.
Since we became, since we became close, I've, ridden his ass, and he's a lot better now. Thanks to me. All the judges make me know.
It's pretty much,
If Walter's missing, now they're like, they knock on my door.
Oh yeah. Like you gotta be fair too. I get a text from the guard and I get a text from Cheyenne. And they're like, hey, man, the judge is ready. And I'm like, what are you talking about? That's like 15 minutes ahead of the hearing. They're like, he's going to be ready immediately. And I'm like, I get here 15 minutes before the hearing or less.
Right. So, guys, there's been a few times that I've had to hold up his judge, and I'm working with a different judge.
Oh, God, yeah. And here's the thing, too.
Traffic,
here's the thing.
5 minutes down the road.
Well, I wasn't 5 minutes. I was down East Colonial, way down. I wasn't even in Orlando. I had to go to Bithlo. I had to go to where Cocoa Beach is? Just before that. I had to just before. Guys, so I had to start lying to myself about what time I'd have to show up to the hearing because it just worked better if I lied to myself and said, Walter, the hearing is at 2 when it was actually at 3. So I would get there at 2:45. That's how I would set it.
Yeah, but see, then Walter brings me into his, demise. Where I'm lying to the judges myself. I'm like, everything that you can imagine went wrong. It went wrong today, Judge. I'm sorry. He had a flat tire.
I did have a flat tire. I did. My Prius had a flat tire that time.
He has his claimant trying to jack up his car.
That did happen. I've had okay. You know how I have those little Masonic and thingies on the back of my car? I've had homeless claimants steal the gold medallions off of my car and then try to sell them and then get pissed off when they find out that they're not worth anything. And then some other homeless person that I represent will come and tell me about it. Guys, and that's the thing is and that's part of the thing too. I used to go to all these different office locations. I went to 8 offices at least in a single week, right? So from here to here to here, I was a pinball all over the place. So when I'd have a hearing, I'd have to leave one office early and get there. And invariably, that day, I'd get somebody who would just not stop asking me questions. I'd finally be like, look, I got to go. And they'd be like, just one more question. I'd be like, no, I got to go. I would leave. And then I'd get a text while I'm driving. I'd get a text from Cheyenne being like, hey, where are you? And then I get a text from the guard being like, they're starting right now. I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? The hearing is at 2:30. It is only 2 p.m., right? And then they'd be like, the judge is ready to go. And you gotta understand something too. I'm a younger attorney. So when they wanted to like, you know, do little things or have fun or whatever, I was the guy that they would do that to. They don't do it so much to me, but when I first started doing this, wait, Cheyenne, how long ago you worked for them for how long?
Well, it's been it'll be 2 years in January, but I mean, shave off the last
right, the COVID.
months.
You got to shave the COVID time. A little bit of
so a little over a year, yeah.
Okay, so way before that. So if we go back, if we go back 7 years, they kicked me around hard. I was the young, new attorney. They were beating on me every single time I go to a hearing. It would be, counselor, what is your theory on the claim? Which I'm fine with now. I have no problem. Every claim I go to, I got my brief. I'm ready to go. I'm happy. But back in the day, they would just drill it into me. But I was the new guy, and that's how law works. They would drill it into you. And, I don't know what happened to me. I kept having more things going on. And that kind of ties to this point of, as an attorney, as I became more well-known and the law firm grew, and now there's thousands of people that are part of this system, that are part of disability resolution. As that happened and my head started to explode, you got to keep in mind, so do the judges. The judges, that they end up having more kids. They end up having more requirements. One judge had to leave and go on sabbatical, if you can call it that, to go do VA work for the VA court, VA disability benefits. So you got to understand here, as we get older, there's more and more things that fill up the space until finally we explode and we just, hire more people to go ahead and take over those functions that we used to do and love, so that we only get stuck with the ones that we hate. And that's kind of how it, evolves and works. But I would say this, it was one of those things where, now to be fair, I was only one time actually late, where I was like 5 minutes over.
That's a lie.
There was only 1 or 2 or 3 times. I have selective memory when it comes to that stuff.
There's a 1 in the number.
It's over 10 and under 20. Yeah. Look, I mean, here.
But I love you.
But I'll never forget. And then there's the bias if I'm late, that judge hates me for 3 months, maybe more.
Are you gonna tell the story?
But if Cheyenne is late, they are the most understanding creatures on earth. The black robes, the white hair.
It's the blonde hair.
Right. They are the most understanding creatures in the world. I don't even understand that a little bit. They hate me for 3 to 4 months. Let me explain something to you. I was late one time. The one time, I swear. There was that one time I was late, and here's what happened. So I was late, and the judge was not understanding why I was late. Don't make me laugh too hard, because I'm gonna have Mountain Dew all over the computer. So the problem with it was that as I got there, so all of a sudden, and I swear to God, it went like all of a sudden, all the other judges caught the angry bug. They caught the So all of a sudden, I had a brief prepared, my opening statement. I was ready to go. Everything's amazing. All of a sudden, during the hearing, every judge is like, counselor, I'd really like you to brief another brief on this whole other topic of this particular claim. I'd like you to make another brief. So for the next 8 or 9 hearings I had, every judge wanted another brief, like an additional one just on a particular topic that had to be covered. Right. And then she calls me. She's like, God, I was late. My car exploded or something happened. There was just dog bits all over the place. I can't even explain the chicken nuggets at this point.
That's your
Yeah, that is my dog. I mean, I'm still
My
cleaning
dogs
up.
are trained, okay?
Yeah, it's true. My dogs aren't trained. I trained them yesterday. I got them to sit, which was a good start.
Yesterday.
So yeah, it's the beginning. The beginning. Yeah. So.
He's specifically talking about a particular time, and I went in. It was a male judge, Florida couple. So, you know, he says this too. He's like, yeah, that's because you're pretty and I'm not. But I'm like, it's not about that. But I go in there and I wasn't like late for the hearing, but kind of. And
yeah, you were. No. Let's not downgrade it. That's it.
I was, because I was messaging Walter on the way there because I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, she's selling tropical storm people. It was a hurricane. It was a hurricane. She was late. Hair was all over the place.
So I'm freaking out, messaging Walter on the way there.
You're right. She's texting me.
You'll be fine. I'm late all the time.
Well, I did. Yeah, I did say that. I did.
No,
I probably did. Yeah.
Probably. So I get in there though, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, Judge. Please don't hate me. He's like, why would I hate you, Cheyenne? It's okay. Don't worry about it. It's all right. And I tell Walter that, and he cried.
I flipped out. I was like, what the? Are you kidding me? They're, and they're mean to me for months. They're mean to me.
We probably had a case with you that day, and so then he's like, can you go please see if Mr. Knott's here?
Yeah, that's literally that was the thing. Now, to be fair, they got a team together of people that would get me there on time, which I think is good. Yeah. No, but here's what bugged me about that. If I was late once, and I was almost always on time. Remember, you have to be there 15 minutes before the hearing, or a minute before the hearing, and everything's perfectly ready to go. You know, you're walking in, and your jacket is on, your briefcase is ready, and all your stuff is already in your hand. You know, so
guys, Walter's a fast walker.
I am a fast walker. I drive a Prius, but let me tell you,
shimmies right into that conference room 1 minute before, and those claimants are ready.
Well, they are ready. They're ready ahead of time. I've run questions with them many times.
That is true. That is true.
My guys come in ready to go. You know, other attorneys are like, let me go in this conference room for the first time and see if we can work this thing out. Let's pick it out.
Yeah, Walter's just like, take a puff, go inside. It'll be fine. So Walter runs questions with his claimants. He's one of the only attorneys that runs questions with his claimants a couple times before they walk in there. So that's why Walter is completely and wholeheartedly okay with being 1 minute before the hearing.
And even then, we start to shave it down to seconds because, man, that elevator's got me a couple times. I mean, when I'm traveling up that Orlando elevator, people on the second floor, they catch me every time. And then they get on, they're like, I'm just going to wait for my buddy. I'm like, dude, I need to be upstairs yesterday or at least 14 minutes ago because that would have at least been savable right now. So, yeah.
It's true. It's very true.
That judge, just so you guys know, that judge had a mean tone with me for like 4 months after that. For like 4 months after, he was like, counselor, or he would mispronounce my name, Mr. Hanat. I don't understand how you could conclude that. And he would just, and then Cheyenne would just be sitting there typing on her computer with this like the slight turn and smile. She would do this like cheesy double-lipped face, kind of like. It's slightly unfair how that works. No, it's slightly unfair. Like literally, if there was something funny going on in the hearing, I could not look at her because I would want to laugh. And she'd either be sitting there faking a fake face. Like she would just be faking the emotion. She'd have to keep it fully straight. Or she would be crying and like trying to wipe her face frantically with whatever sweater she would have in Florida. It doesn't even make sense. I don't have it, so.
It's cold in those rooms.
It is cold.
Well, I think honestly, being in this, so I'm the kind of person that wears my heart on my sleeve. Like I feel for people. I really do. And I'm sure a lot of you guys know it. You see my little affirmation posts and everything. I'm very, it's just who I've always been. But being in this field for the past year, like there was a time when I first started, and I'm just like, how can these judges sit in here and just look at these people and not crumble? Like there are some, all these sorts of cases, like I really feel for you guys. And there was a point where, yeah, it was tearing me apart. Like, but then, you hear more and you hear more. And, but there's been some doozies. Walter's had some doozies that have really, really gotten to me.
I've had some tough claims where they're just, I had a claim where even I was crying. It was horrific. The ones that get to me are the pet ones where somebody in the relationship that's trying to torture the claimant will go ahead and murder the animal in front of their eyes, or murder them ahead of time so that the animal will be hanging. Right. And then basically they'll come home to the animal dead in the tree. Those types I'll look up, and be like, where is this person? But you got to understand, like, I have some claims where I'll be sitting back and like, it'll bother me through the next hearing. It'll bother me through the next thing. But as I get older, and as I've been in this industry for 15 years, I've been working at that law firm that I started for 7 years. So the bottom line is, as you continue to do this stuff, your brain becomes more and more, just more and more accepting of bizarre and terrible things, which is not good. But the reality of it is, you have to, otherwise you have to, I know some judges, I'm not sure where their soul went, but it's it's somewhere.
Can I say for real again?
Yeah, it's
for real.
And there's a lot of judges that are really incredible, and they get it, and they attach, and they understand it. Yeah. And one of them just retired.
And then they retire.
You're right. And then they retire. Yeah, and that's But to be fair, they were older, and at some point we have to let them go. But it's just like it's just, and that's the thing, is that what I'm seeing is. And you have to understand, these judges are sitting here. They're saying, they're hearing a lot of the same thing. One of the things that really excites the judge's brain is when somebody is untrained, right? You guys watch the videos, you get how the questions go, you get kind of the basic roll through how it works. So you're trained. You know what to say, what to expect, what to do, stuff like that. When these other people come in and they're not trained and they have no idea what's going on, that's like a fun experience for these judges. They get to use their legal training. They get to Jedi brain trick, the other person and kind of, hey, what about this? What about this? What about this? Some of them will do some tricky questions. Some of them will keep it straight. But either way, if that person is throwing a bunch of landmines on their own claim, then the judge has an opportunity to build their claim against the potential of that individual being found disabled, even though it is a neutral, impartial, yada, yada. But remember, the judge is there as the person to go ahead and be the opposing counsel, because there is no other attorney representing the SSA at these hearings. You can say all day long that the judge isn't there, that the judge is there as an impartial, yada, yada, yada. But the reality is the judge has to consider both sides. The judge could build your side. The judge could build the SSA's side. And remember, there's no other attorney representing the judge or representing the SSA in there. So, it's not like a federal district court, circuit court, or Supreme Court where there's an actual attorney representing the SSA. At these ALJ hearings, the judge has to be there on behalf of the SSA to get the tough questions in, to understand both sides of the coin. And sometimes it feels like it's waning more towards the pro-SSA as opposed to pro-claimant, yada, yada. But the reality here is this. I think that, and that's kind of part of the thing, to be able to know a particular judge and to know what that judge is looking for is worth its weight in gold for a claim. I had to tell a claimant recently that there was no way I could win his claim. And that was because he was under 50 years old. He was just under 50 years old. And that judge does not approve anybody who is basically under 50 years old. And, the sad thing about that is that there's no way around that. It is what it is. That's just what that judge does. Now, most attorneys won't tell the claimant that. Most attorneys will just let it ride. They'll get a denial. They'll act all surprised and say, whoa, didn't see that coming. But I'd rather just tell the claimant the reality so that we can start prepping the claim for appeals counsel. I think to go back to this other thing, too, is that the SSA is like a club. And clubs they have their good sides and bad sides. Like being a Mason has its good sides and bad sides. Being an elk, good side, bad side. Being part of this party or that party, good side, bad side. There's always good and bad to those sorts of things. I think what the most important thing you could probably learn from this, and maybe Cheyenne could explain more about it, is judges are humans too. So the main factor that defines when you should have your hearing is kind of based upon their humanistic qualities as a human being as to what they do better with. Some judges do better in the morning, some don't. Some are mean in the morning and nice in the afternoon. Some aren't. So
yeah. I mean, like I have a judge in Orlando who she has kids, and she's a tough cookie. Like, she's a tough cookie when it comes to the hearings. She's strict, to the point, fast, get in, get out. But she does not like being not on time. If even she gets irritated if she is early and she can't run early because attorneys aren't there or the claimant's not there or whatever, even though you guys do have 15 to 30 minute window. Like she gets anxiety and then it pisses her off for that time. But then you have other judges who I say are on island time. They show up when they won't.
Yeah.
They come 30 to 40 minutes late. And then, and then they're taking about 15 to 20 minutes between each case. And then they go to lunch, and then they're 30 minutes late from lunch. And it's rude. It is. But at the end of the day, guys, like, you have to understand they're the boss of the room. Unfortunately, they call the shots, and so you can't, you don't want to call them on their stuff when you're in there. But yeah, I mean, every judge is different. And something else I want to say is there is a judge. He used to be the chief judge in Orlando, and he's always telling me, this was like some advice that he had told me about other judges. These judges come from kind of all different backgrounds. Yes, they were attorneys and things like that, but they come from different areas of law and things of that nature. And some of these judges, they don't understand that it is not a trial. You guys are not on trial, and some of them treat you that way. And it's not right. And there's not a whole lot that do that, but there are ones that do, and they don't understand that this is not a trial because they come from criminal law, right? Or they were on they worked for the prosecutor or whatever, and they're used to attacking, and and so some of them don't quite understand what the mission is of the hearing. They don't understand the point of it. They don't understand what really is what we're here for. They know the specifications, they know the listings and all that, but when they're in there, there's a specific judge that, she will say things to you that don't need to be said. It has nothing to do with the hearing. Nothing has nothing to do with your impairment, nothing. But it's just something that, if she approves you, she'll say, hey guys, I don't want you to, this isn't money for cigarettes and right? Which we know. And, I understand that. But, sometimes, like, we have claimants that have records, and they'll just be like, well, or you have people from all walks of life. You have people coming in there with green hair, right? And, so there are different questions because and it has your green hair has nothing to do with if you have diabetes, fibromyalgia, a spinal issue, cerebral palsy. It has nothing to do with that. But, they are from a different background. So they kind of put their own spin on it, and it's not nice and it's not right. And like I said, the older judges who've been in the game for a long time, they know what's acceptable. They know what should happen. And those are the ones that, are hopefully training others. But there's some that come in there, and they're the ones that you guys see when we ask you the approval rating, and they're like, oh, well, my judge has a 24% approval rating. That's probably because they don't really understand what we're doing here. Like, I mean, they do. I don't want to take anything away from that, but they come from a different background. So it's, I think that there are some things that get missed, because a lot of you guys, that we've heard your stories, you should have been approved, right? Like, it could have been your attorney dropped the ball, but it could have been, a higher up sort of issue. So, but yeah, all these judges are all different. They all come from all walks of life. They're all different people. And, that's why we always push you guys to have an attorney, because these attorneys will know who these judges are, what they're looking for, the kind of person that they are. And a lot of these attorneys will format their questions pertaining to the judge, right? Because that's part of their homework. That's what they're supposed to do. So, Walter is not going to come into Judge Cheyenne's, hearing and maybe ask me, run hearing questions or run his hearing with his claimant the same way that he might, judge Florida couple, 2 rooms down.
Yeah.
Because
I keep it
different.
You got to customize it. You have to customize. Yeah. Every judge is different. If I'm going in front of, Judge 1 or Judge 2, the questions are different. The structure is different. And that's part of the thing. Like, guys, I know a lot of you guys are like, my attorney didn't fill out the forms for me, or my attorney didn't, call, my medical provider and bitch them out, none of that stuff is actually the attorney's job for disability benefits. The only job they really have is to prepare you for the hearing and then go to the hearing and represent you. All that other stuff is just stuff that got added on, and then the SSA kind of like tried to bolster that because they didn't want to have to do stuff, so they threw that on the attorney and yada yada over the years. But the reality is that the attorney and their knowledge of that judge is what you're really paying for. Now, attorneys nowadays have to go in front of judges that are from all over the place. So, Cheyenne, tell them about what's happening now with the National Hearing Group and how that works.
So the National Hearing Offices, those are a lot of, there's different ones. They're in different states, and basically they cover overflow for the local offices. So if the local offices are behind, a lot of them will toss, hearings to those judges who are usually remote. Well, they have an office, but they're strictly by video. So you'll go to your local field office and you'll have a video hearing in front of them, with your attorney and the court reporter in the room.
In a mini room. A miniature, ridiculously tiny room. Oh my God,
it's a closet. We call it the closet. It's horrible. I've had to rearrange furniture, for, claimants in a wheelchair, things like that. Like, my job contained heavy lifting. I wasn't prepared for that. Yeah. We make it work. So it's a video hearing, but they are mainly for overflow. And like Walter said, a lot of these Orlando judges, they're pushing out things a lot faster now. They're kind of, on their game, and they're not wanting to use these national hearing centers, because what people don't understand, this is kind of behind the scenes and it really doesn't matter to you guys, but there's a lot more entailed as far as getting them evidence, as far as showing records, as far as getting them records. And then, when we have a hearing at a local field office, with a judge that's from another state, we have to burn a CD of the hearing on a CD and mail it to them FedEx and make all these extra copies. It's a lot more entailed. So, and as you guys know, communication sometimes with the with the SSA is not always on point. So, there's gaps of missing things and people chasing another person down because they didn't do their job. So, it's just a lot more entailed. So a lot of these local field offices are trying to weed them out a little bit, but mainly they're for overflow if we're inundated with hearings. Because Orlando is one of the biggest field offices. We have the most hearings, in the area. So, yes, sir.
Another thing too is that when we go back to hearings, maybe you can talk to them a little bit more. I don't know if you travel a lot, but maybe you can talk to them a little bit about how the offices are different. Because some of like if you go to some of the Jacksonville offices, they're almost like dark. They're very, very like classic, wooden kind of old school attorney-ish kind of, and judge-ish, legal-ish. They just have this like draconian feel to them. Whereas the Orlando hearing office has more of a dentist office kind of feeling to it. The carpet is horrific, but if it were a dentist office, that would be like, sometimes I recline because I'm tired. And I just imagine myself getting a full new, grill set. And it's just one of those amazing differences. And then you have something for example, if you go over to Melbourne, they don't even have a tradition. Like you literally go into the regular FO field office, and then you got to go into like a separate little room with the guard. And like it's just a totally weird experience. So can you explain to them the differences between how some of these OHO offices, the building and everything look?
Well, I'm not one of those that travels a lot because I have so many hearings in Orlando. And that's kind of our training hub too. And so towards the end of before COVID, for a few months, I was training people. So I really wasn't traveling much, but I mean, I've been to the Lake Mary, Florida office. And they're all different, all right. So, how like if you guys go to a SSA office that, you're trying to get your social security card, sometimes they'll have a separate room, for hearings in these sort of, local offices that, you guys do regular business, changing your name, whatever. And those are typically by video though. So I don't know about Melbourne. They're actually trying to push me to go into Melbourne, because for some reason I think they're assuming that Melbourne's going to magically open before Orlando. I don't know, but yeah, a lot of the offices they are very different. I think I understand what Walter's saying about the whole dentist field, but I don't know about the other offices, but it seems more court appropriate in Orlando. It's more courtsy in the courtrooms, but some of the other offices, they don't have large courtrooms, like that you would think that, that you would assume a courtroom should look like. But there are times where even in these courtrooms, like we'll have, video hearings anyway. We have rooms at the Orlando office that are delegated just to the NHC hearings, the video hearings. But then sometimes we use the actual courtrooms for video hearings as well. And because we have what we call a polycom in every room, that's basically a really big screen TV. So, even some of the attorneys have certain IP addresses to where they're able to video in from their office. Walter chose not to do that because Sweetie and Shadow said, hell no.
Let me tell you.
But it's all different. It's very, very different in certain locations. I mean, I talked to, so I'm the administrator for like our little work group when they have questions or when they're trying to look for people to switch days with them and stuff like that. And some of my girls, they work in Port Orange, which some of you guys aren't in Florida, so I keep referencing cities. But anyway, they're like an hour away, an hour and a half away from Orlando and stuff like that. And I believe, I don't know if you've been to Port Orange, but I believe those are all video rooms too. I don't know, are they?
Oh no, they have hearing rooms there. I had a really interesting claim there where there was this one kid claim, and the kid claim medically was really, really strong. And I was in front of this male judge that does a lot of kid claims. And I swear to you, she looked just like any Disney princess you would ever see in a feature film about, like, you know, snow and Frozen and this and that. She looked like one of those types of characters. And she told this beautiful story about how there was nothing wrong with her, how she did super well in school. And then you look at the school grades and you're like, this kid's failing out of, like, you know, 7th grade. This is what's going on. But she sold it so well. She was just, it was defeating. Every time I'd ask her a question, she would prove to the court with her angelic, you know, little princessishness. But anyway, yeah, they have, I brought the mom in, and I got the truth out of the mom on that one. But anyway, the point is, yeah, they have it.
Those kid cases are rough.
They're all over the place. I have never had a kid claim where I was like, man, that went exactly as I thought it was going to go. I've had adult claims left and right go like that. Kid claims, the moment that kid, if they're over 7, they'll sometimes put them on to do testimony. Let me tell you, the moment that kid hits that thing, and the first thing the kid's going to do is, authority figure is in front of me, I'm going to say everything's perfect and wonderful. And then I'm sitting there going, wait a minute. You were just in a fight with little Billy, and you beat him over the head with a baseball bat. Wait a minute.
Yeah, with the kid cases for sure, but you know, like I've seen claimants, and like once in my mind sticks out with Walters, where
many of them actually. Many. Oh yeah. But I get some odd claims though. To be fair, I'm not mass advertising. Like, I get the claims that they couldn't win and I had to now fix, you know. So there's that aspect to it as well. Yeah.
But I mean, and I said this like in our live, like, you know, 100 lives ago, that so Walter's claimant, and this isn't just about Walter's claimant, like this is, I've seen this with many different people. You know, it's not just about kids too. Like, you know, you have adults that go in there and you see an authority figure, and then I think it for some reason it all becomes very surreal to them when you guys sit in that chair. So then you guys are just like, you know, Walter will say, "So, good sir, tell me this. Did I do it right? So tell me this."
No, I say, walk me through this. Walk me through this. Help me out with this. I need to understand this. Give me a quick walkthrough. I'm not sure if I understand this. And every, yeah, here we go. Walk me through. Yeah, and no, and the best part is I'll say that to somebody who's in a wheelchair. I'll be like, all right, so walk me through this. God. Or my favorite one is they'll be in a wheelchair at the end of the hearing. I'll be like, all right, we're gonna hop up and head out of the.
Oh Jesus!
Oh yeah,
I'll tell you guys, because I'm the sweet one, right? Like, well, so I'll tell you a story about me that made me look bad, but I really didn't mean it like that. But back to Walter's claimant. So
there you go. There you go.
No, you know, so Walter will say like, okay, well, how far can you walk? Because you know, a lot of these are like pre-screener sort of things. Like, you guys have already written down these answers on, you know, papers for the judge to see and things like that. But, you know, he'll ask you, how far can you walk? And you'll be like, oh, you know, well, I can walk pretty far, you know? And the man walked in there on a walker, guys, okay? On a walker. And he's like, and so, you know, the judge is like, okay, well, do you think you could, you know, walk 100 yards? That's the length of a football field. And he's like, yeah, I could, no problem. And then Walter's like he looks at me, and then he's like, it's a helmet day. And then he looks back at the claimant, and he's like, okay, no, so, but wait, you have, you know, you have one amputated leg, or, you know, whatever it was. But, you know, there's ego, you know, there's ego. And
yeah, guys are tough. Guys have an ego. They're like, I can do it, you know. And I look at them like, you got one amputated leg, half your hip is missing, you have you know, 2 socks on 1 foot, and you're walking 100 yards, sir. You can explain to me how you've been able to do this for so many years. And they're, you know, you know,
yeah, and you know, and so that's what I was saying. Like a few lives ago, I told you guys that when you guys sit in that seat, for some reason, you guys have been dealing with these impairments for years, right? Or whatever. And then you guys sit in that chair, and then all of a sudden it becomes surreal to you. And then you're like, I don't want to do this. I want to get out of here. I want to, I can do this. No, you're not going to I don't want you to think that I'm invalid. I don't want you to think that I can't do these things. I don't want you to think that as a father or as a mother, I can't take care of my kids, right? You guys take it that way. And it's completely, and I get it. It's hard. Like, you guys have worked your whole lives. You guys don't want to be in this position any more than we want you to be in that position, right? But you guys go in there, and so many of you blow your claim because all of a sudden, everything that you've just told Walter or whoever goes out the window because you guys let pride and ego and fear and all of that win. But what you guys need to understand is these attorneys and these court reporters and these judges have heard everything.
And I'm part of the reason why that is. I'm just
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But know that we've heard everything from the gruesome details, like, I'm not going to give examples, but I mean, you guys can take it for whatever you think, but we've heard from the disgusting details to the not so bad ones to, things that are embarrassing for you guys, and we get it. I mean, but we're not going to sit there and give you a look like, what the heck did you just say? We're used to it. So you guys need to go in there and really tell everything, tell the truth, say what you've been practicing. I mean, you guys are throwing money away, right? And you're throwing away valuable time that you spent with an attorney by just going in there and trying to just let, pride win and everything else. So it's just, don't do that to yourselves. The kids are a little different. Kids are, they're kids. That's why with every kid case, you guys have to have a guardian. So there'll always be a guardian there. And we're going to ask both of you questions. If you're like over a certain age, then we're going to question the child. But if you're under a certain age, we're not, because there's no point. But we do talk to the parent, usually separately. We always ask for kid cases. We'll say, hey, we need the guardian here, but we also need someone extra to come in and sit with the child when we are, running questions with the mom or the dad or whatever. And believe me, our security guard does not want to be a babysitter.
But we make him be that all the time.
What?
But he is forced to be that all the time.
Oh, he is. And guys,
he's good with kids.
He's retiring.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he's retiring in December.
It's terrible.
So I don't think we'll see him anymore. But he was super funny. But he'll be like, these ain't my kids. I don't know what? Y'all didn't tell them to bring another person. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, we did. They don't listen to us.
It's true. It's true. He was great with them, though. He would keep them on a straight line. He would laugh with them. He would, all that stuff.
He would let them color and stuff.
Yeah, he'd have coloring books. He would do all it. Like, he was great with these kids. And to be honest with you, like, a lot of these parents that have mental impairments or physical impairments, their kids they'd be all over the place, but he would actually get them on the straight and narrow relatively quickly. So he was good at it. And that is why he was forced into child,
right.
Poor guy. But
But a lot of the reason too that you guys need to bring an extra person is because, and this is my mothering thing going, but when we have, a child case, we want someone extra there, not just the parent or the guardian, because there's only one security guard to these rooms, okay? And if there is an emergency, like if a claimant has a seizure or something like that, the security guard is not responsible for your child. He has to go and do what he's paid to do. He has to go and be of service and help out and call 911 and blah, blah, blah. So, that's another reason why you want to have somebody else with your child. Because like I said, we will go ahead and ask questions of the parent because we know that we're not going to get every single thing out of these kids. It's just impossible. Even their favorite Pokemon. Way to
Oh
go,
God,
author.
yeah. Oh man, that line of questioning did not go well. I mean, I've mastered. I sat one time for like 30 minutes thinking like, how do I approach a kid with, like, what's their favorite toy, what's their favorite Pokemon, and I've created a whole like tree of questions to come off of that. But the kid claims are weird because you have the cultural differences of the parents, which are massive. You have somebody that's like an inner city parent. You have somebody that's a farm parent. You have somebody that's like they grew up in some weird, like, unique religious sect. And for that reason, it's like a totally different yada yada. So, for that reason, it's tough because the kids are the little olive branch off of the parents, and you never know what you're going to get from them. Whereas with the parents, they've been interacting, paying bills, they've got some sort of interaction with society. But the kids, they can be really tough. All right, so
well, for the majority, do you have like, what percentage do you think that you have of adults compared to kids? I mean, do you have a lot of cases? I don't think you do.
Most kid claims I have are not, or weren't with you when you were doing the hearings. So I have about 10%.
You have some though.
Yeah, I'd have a couple with you, but about 10% are kid claims that I would have compared to the 9% of adult claims that I have. In fact, most law firms will not take kid claims at all. And the reason why is that they're just a very different animal. And they can be problematic because the judges are very ready to move the alleged onset date way forward in time, which is what attorneys don't want to hear because that means they're making significantly less. So, but kid claims are different. The filing paperwork is different. The whole line of questioning is different. Age, they could be 5 years old, 10 years old, 15 years old, and it's a totally different line of questions. So it's not just your mastering of an adult. It's a mastering of, at the 5-year-old range, you've got a kid that basically is barely starting to figure things out. So you got to keep it ultra simple if you're going to question them at all. And then you get to the 10, you got a kid that's trying to pretend like everything's perfect and everything's normal and they didn't do anything wrong. You get to the 15-year-old, they're snarky, they're smart, they're punks. They just, they're an unguided missile. I mean, they're ready to just, blow up a mini mart with their smile, So it's just, it's one of those.
So what you're telling me is you need to spend more time at my house, and so that they can train you and these.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, no, there you go. But I mean, that's the thing is that to be fair, like these kids, and they're all different, and that's what makes it such a tough thing because some of these kids, they're giving you great testimony, they're answering it correctly, but that's 1 out of 10. The usual ones are their agenda is to not get grounded. Their agenda is to not get yelled at. They have some video game that they want their parent to buy them because they behaved, and because they behaved, they gave a schmoozy, buttered over, classically sugarized version of the way their life really is. So it's tough. You're competing against what are they getting after this? And, the reality is that there have been many kid hearings where I'll come out of that hearing thinking, well, that went weird. And then, the parent will be talking to the kid saying, all right, now we're going to go get ice cream. And then all of a sudden, 20 minutes later, I'm at the ice cream place down the street getting a custom ice cream with lots of berries in it. And I'm thinking, how the heck did I end up here? And then I realized it was a weird claim and I deserved an ice cream.
Oh my gosh.
It's true. That's one of my things. So, if I ever disappear and I'm not answering my phone after a kid hearing, I am probably at the local ice cream place trying to figure out how it could go better. And that's another thing too. I mean, I tend to beat myself up about how to do a better job every time, which is why you guys get to hear these questions, because the questions I'm giving you right now are constantly in evolution. I'm constantly updating, modifying. In fact, the big list that I use is totally different than it was a year ago. And the reason why that is because I'm never happy with the final result. Even when I win it, I'm never happy. Now, my hearings are smooth now for the most part. They're creamy, they're smooth, they're good. Everything feels good. Everything rolls through. I will have the helmet days where I'm sitting back on what just happened. Oh my goodness. And it's usually with a particular judge. But I'll say this, and that's the thing too. Attorneys going into hearings, it's like playing chess with somebody who holds all the cards. Okay, so imagine that. A lot of people think the attorneys really make the judges fear them. The attorneys don't make the judges fear them. The attorneys are there trying to get the judge to like the claimant, like the claim, and approve the claim so that the attorney can get paid and pay their staff. That's the reality of it. They're trying to go ahead and make the money to continue the ball going forward. And, now we do lose sight of that a little bit once we're doing zillions and zillions and zillions of claims. But the reality is that we're not there to anger the judges. The judges are the ones that have all the cards. We're there to play chess with the judge. But you better believe we're trying to figure out how to make the judge feel like they're winning so that they want that claimant to win. And that's incredibly important. So when somebody tells you that the judges fear them, and this is classic, the non-legal reps that I know, some of them do this. They're like, a judge fears me. And that's how they sell to people. Oh, the judge is afraid of me. Oh, my goodness. Judges don't fear non-legal reps. They don't, because non-legal reps don't know how to write briefs. They don't know how. They didn't go to law school. They can't even take claims to the appeals court to go against those judges at not appeals court. They can go to appeals court, but they can't go to federal district court. So like the higher level, like this judge was wrong. Like we're gonna go blah 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 blah. That higher level court stuff, they can't even get access to it. All they could do is file a complaint against the judge. They can't even go up and prove the judge wrong legally at the federal district circuit or Supreme Court of the United States. So
yeah, we made a non-attorney rep that
did we?
Ago.
Oh yeah, So here's the thing, guys.
I had to write a brief.
Yeah. Well, you do like to write, let me tell you. Jeez
hey,
Louise.
you know what?
I'm just saying.
We'll say this right after the live. Anyway,
yeah.
Back to Walter's claimant. No. I was going to ask you a question because Florida couple 2011 asked. I would love to hear more about medical MEs for the SSA during your hearings. I had one during my first hearing, and he was a wacko. Even the ALJ didn't listen to his findings.
So the MEs are paid for by the SSA, and then sometimes the MEs, the ones you saw, will be requested to come for the hearing, or they'll just request some ME to come to the hearing that you haven't seen yet. MEs are medical experts that are certified by the Social Security Administration to provide information relevant to a claim in a particular vein of medicine. Remember, they're always there for their particular genre of knowledge. And the way you beat most of them is by taking them on a stroll outside of their particular medical genre of knowledge, and then basically building that side of it. But the bottom line is this. Those doctors, they'll usually pick the SSA, people who have, graduated from, for example, Harvard and Yale and blah, 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 blah. We're not even going to add Cornell to that list because that school has totally gone down in my books. They're just bad in so many ways. But the bottom line is they'll hire some, highfalutin, blah, 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 so on and so, and then they'll come in and do their thing. I've had medical experts where I sat back and I thought, you know what, that's a good point. I've had medical experts where I sat back and I thought, I don't even know what planet this person is coming from with this choice, this decision. So they always come at the beginning of the hearing. Almost always. I've had one where it was, but like 99.99%, they bring them up right in the beginning of the hearing because the judge wants to know, is this medical expert going to say severely impaired, or are they going to say less than that? Because if it's severely impaired, that judge wants that hearing done and over already. Let's go. If they're going to say less than severely impaired, then they got to do the full hearing. Okay, like I had a hearing today, and the judge was saying, this counselor looks like a potential grid out option, which was the judge saying to me, Attorney Walter Knott, I need you to shut up for the rest of this claim and just get through it. I need you to go ahead and zip it, Yeah. And so, but actually, you're right. I should probably. There is somebody who did call in and wants me to call. All right, Cheyenne, thank you so much for appearing on the show. Would you do a quick plug for Second Wave Masks for anybody that wants a custom mask?
Of course, yeah. So the masks that I make, guys, they are 3-layered. They have a nose wire, so it contours to your face. A lot of the pleated designs and even the paper masks that you guys have, there's lighter tests where you turn a lighter on, and if you can blow the flame out, then it's not thick enough. And so, but I'm on Etsy and Facebook, and I'll plug in the links in here. And I ship anywhere in the U.S. I have all sorts of different prints, and I have sizes from XL to small for toddlers. But yeah, it's super fun. I enjoy it, and I love the patterns. I have a lot of Halloween patterns too, so I'm super duper excited.
Excellent. Well, guys, I will catch you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take the next phone call. Madame Cheyenne, thank you so much for coming on the show, and I'll catch up with you later.
You're very welcome. Okay. Thank you, guys. Bye.
Perfect, guys. We're going to go to the next phone call real quick. Hold on. Let me go ahead and get this thing going. Let me pop over here. Okay, good. And click. Okay, perfect. Now we're calling, and it's going to be ringing. Let's see if we can get somebody else on here real quick. So, guys, this is somebody who emailed me. I'm going to see if I can go ahead and let me see if I can call again and see if I can get through to them real quick. Now, if I can't get this person, I'm going to open it up right here to anybody else who wants to call in. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so that person isn't picking up. I'm going to open up the phone line to anybody who wants to call in. It is the 407-279-1754 to answer questions about disability law, or perhaps, about, for example, running hearing questions, things like that. If nobody wants to call in, no biggie, no problem. Let me send this person a quick text. Let's see. Then I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up, because I actually have a few things I need to do, including going to the post office to mail off some important, fun, and exciting new filings. So, okay, good. Oh, yeah. So, guys, real quick plug for spaceconstitution.com. We're in beta phase, but we're actually testing it, and people are signing up and trying it out. Go ahead, go to the website, try out functions on it, click things. It would really help me. If you find something that doesn't work, or need a link is broken, it would help me immensely. And I know some of you guys don't have internet. I know some of you guys don't have the ability to use some of those functions. Okay, phone died, blah, blah. Okay, no problem. So in that regard, the person's phone died. So I'll catch up with them next week. No problem. I'll catch up next week. All right, cool, guys. So I'm going to catch you guys a little bit later. We made it to an hour and 31 minutes. I have to go do some fun, exciting, brief stuff and going to the post office and ja stuff. Also, please keep in mind, on Friday mornings, a lot of guys like to call in on Friday morning at 8 a.m. I don't go to the office or get into the office on Friday mornings until 10. So if you want to talk to somebody in back office, that's cool. Call early. Or if you want to talk to me specifically, I only get there starting at 10, and then I work basically until the rest of the day. So just as a heads up, Fridays, that's kind of how that works. Anyways, I'll catch up with you guys a little bit later. Have an absolutely wonderful night. I love y'all. I wish you the best, and we will go from there. Sleep well, guys. Have fun. Bye-bye.